Good afternoon.
Tell us River Fest.
Welcome to the Thursday, May 23rd, 2019 meeting of the Wichita-Sedgwick County Metropolitan Area Planning Commission. And with that, we will take public announcements.
Before we begin the agenda, the Wichita-Sedgwick County Metropolitan Area Planning Commission and the Wichita-Sedgwick County Board of Zoning Appeals would like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone to this public hearing. Copies of the agenda for today's meeting, the public hearing procedure, and Planning Department staff reports on all agenda items are available in the lobby of this conference room. The Planning Commission's and the BZA's bylaws limit the applicant on a zoning, subdivision, or variance application and his or her representative to a total of 10 minutes of speaking time at the start of the hearing on that item, plus up to 2 minutes at the conclusion of that hearing. All other persons wishing to speak on agenda items are limited to 3 minutes per person. However, if they feel that it is needed and justified, the chairman may extend these times by up to 2 minutes. All speakers are requested to state his or her name and address for the record when beginning to speak. When you are finished speaking, please write your name, address, and the case number on the sheet provided in the lobby. This will enable staff to notify you if there are any additional proceedings concerning that item. Please note that all written and visual materials you present to the Commission and the Board will be retained by the Secretary as part of the official record. If you are not speaking but you wish to be notified about future proceedings on a particular case, please sign in on that same sheet. The Planning Commission and the Board are interested in hearing the views of all persons who wish to express themselves on the agenda items. However, we ask that all speakers please be as concise as possible and avoid long repetitions of facts or opinions which have already been stated. For your information, the Wichita City Council has adopted a policy for all city zoning items. A copy of this policy is available in the lobby. The City Council relies on a written record of the Planning Commission hearings and does not conduct its own additional public hearings on these items. The decision of the BZA is final. Any appeal of a decision of the BZA is to district court.
Okay, moving on to agenda item number 1, approval of the prior MAPC meeting minutes from May 9th, 2019.
Move for approval.
Second.
Is that Mr. Hartman?
Yes.
Okay, so I have a motion by Mr. Hartman and a second by Mr. McKay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries 8-0. Moving on to agenda item number 2, consideration of subdivision committee recommendations. And we have agenda item number 2-1, sub 2018-00029, revised one-step final plat, RD Wood Commercial Edition. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that would like to hear this case? Okay, we will take this item on consent. Agenda item number 2-2, sub 2019-00013, one-step final plat, J.K. Ogden Edition. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we'll take this item on consent. Agenda item 2-3, sub 2019-00015, one-step final plat, The Ranch, second edition. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we'll take that item on consent. Agenda item number 2-4, sub 2019-00016, one-step final plat for the Hutton Edition. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to hear this case?
I'll be abstaining on that item.
Okay.
The quorum.
Okay. Is there anybody from the audience that would like to hear this case? We'll take that up. Do I have a motion for those items?
Move.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. McKay, a second by Mr. Blick. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, so motion, how do we do that?
2-1 to 2-3 would be unanimous, and
Okay.
then 2-4 would be.
You got that,
Yeah.
right, okay. Good job, guys.
I'm paying you the big bucks.
Right. All right, agenda item number 3, public hearings on vacation items. 3.1, VAC 2007-00030, county vacation of portions of platted street and alley right-of-way. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anybody on the audience that would like to hear this case? Okay, we'll take this item by consent. Item number 3.2, VAC 2019-00007, city vacation of the inside 12 feet of the platted 20-foot side street setback to allow an accessory structure on property. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to hear this case? Is there anybody in the audience that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we'll take that item on consent. Item number 3.3, VAC 2019-00009, city vacation of formal Pearl Street right-of-way on property. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that would like to hear this case? We will take that item on consent.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Warren, a second by Mr. Richardson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 8-0. Agenda item number 4, under public hearings, case number CON 2019-00012. County conditional use for mining or quarrying to allow for mining of sand on property zoned SF20. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that would like to hear this case? You would like to, okay, we will hear this case. Item number 5, case number CON 2019-00013, county conditional use for an accessory apartment on a 10-acre property zoned RR. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that would like to hear this case? We'll take that item on consent. Agenda item number 6, case number ZON 2019-00009 and CON 2019-00014, city zone change from SF5 to TF3 to allow duplexes on unplatted property generally located 600 feet north of West Central and approximately 800 feet east of Zoo Boulevard. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to hear this case? We will hear this case. Agenda item number 7 will be deferred to the June 6th MAPC. So agenda item number 8, ZON 2019-00014, city zoning request to amend protective overlay number 72 to permit outdoor vehicle storage yard on property zoned LI. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to hear this case? We will hear this case.
Move to approve item number 5.
Okay. Okay, I have a motion to approve by Mr. Warren, a second by Mr. Bill Johnson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 9-0. And agenda item number 9, we will hear that as well. So let's see, we'll go back to agenda item number 4, and we have Dave up to present.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Dave Ura with planning staff. This is a request to obtain a conditional use permit on quarter section of ground that's at the southeast corner of 53rd Street North and Hoover Road. You can tell from the screen, we're dealing with this quarter section outlined in blue. It's currently zoned SF20. This is the aerial of the property. You can see the ownership patterns as it previously existed on this. There is a farmstead coming in off of Hoover Road roughly at this location. There are 3 outbuildings, and according to the applicant, all that stuff will be removed, and they will operate the sand pit at this location. From the aerial, you can see, obviously, we've had sand pit operations to the east, on the east side of Hoover Road. There's a current operation going on to the south, and then we have other operations north of 53rd Street that exist pretty significantly in this area. This is the future land use map identifying the location It's just shown as new residential as outlined in the staff report. This is the operations plan submitted by the applicant. You got a copy of that in your packet. They are identifying an overall pattern of the excavation area that will occur. They are anticipating doing that in cells, and they're numbered, beginning at the southeast quadrant and then moving counterclockwise around until they end up in the very northwest quadrant with their excavation operation. This is a plan of their redevelopment plan. They're showing the outline of the remaining pit, and then they're anticipating they will come in with single-family homes surrounding the property. Some aerial photos. This is looking west of the site. These are the homes and other outbuildings that are intended, according to the report, to be removed. We're looking on Hoover, looking straight west. This is the existing drive into the homes, and they propose just north of this to put a new access drive for their operations. This is looking south along Hoover from roughly that same location. I'm again looking west, just north of the homes, and you can see right now this is just basically a farm field. Looking north along Hoover Road, 53rd Street is way up here in the background, and then I'm at the corner of 53rd and Hoover, looking southwest at the property. There are a number of conditions attached to this recommendation. These are pretty standard with what we have done throughout the years with sand pit operations. There are a bunch of standards identified in the Unified Zoning Code. All those are required to be complied with. We're recommending a 10-year time limit on this operation, which is consistent with what has happened in a lot of them, although some of these other ones in the area, I read some of the old actions on those without, and they didn't have time limits. So, but most everything of time, recent years has come in with a 10-year time limit. Staff is recommending approval subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report. With that, I'll be happy to stand for any questions.
Commission. Mr. Warren.
Dave, I just one question. Creation of a new sand pit, does that add, detract, or have no effect on groundwater issues in the area? Is it a non-factor, or is it?
Well, there are certain things they're going to have to do permit-wise, primarily with the state as they excavate to, and all that stuff is addressed, but given the degree of other operations in the area, I can't believe it's going to have any impact at all.
Talking about like drainage, the water levels and,
No. They have to submit to the county a site drainage plan as part of the operations, and they will control and maintain drainage both on-site and coming off the site as well.
Other questions from the commission? Okay. Thank you, Dave. If agent or applicant would like to step forward to present. This agent or applicant here for this case? Okay. So is there anybody from the audience that would like to speak on this case? Okay, if you'll step forward to the podium, state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Brad Stoskov, located at 6415 West 53rd. I am in the very northwest part of this proposed site. And I guess some of the questions I might have is when we talk about driveways. I've lived at this property since 1991, and I've seen my fair share of truck traffic off of 53rd with all the other sites that were previously shown. I'm curious if we're going to have just a road entry off of Hoover for this extraction and, you know, keep that away from 53rd Street? Is that the plan? And then,
If you'll ask your questions, and then we will have the applicant or agent step up and do a rebuttal.
okay. And then the other question I had, and this is kind of in regards to the time limit. The pit that was last extracted to the west of me had a time limit of, I think, a minimum of 10 years with a maximum of 15 years. So I'm kind of curious as to what the maximum time it would take to extract this versus, say, a minimum. And that's really my only two questions.
Questions from the commission? All right, thank you. And we will, is there anybody else from the audience that would like to speak on this case? If not, we'll have agent or applicant step up for a rebuttal.
We have the staff answer the question on the time limits.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
The condition number 13 says the conditional use will be valid for a period of 10 years. They would have up until the 10 years to use the resource. If it wasn't completed, they could come back and ask for an extension. But the way it's proposed is they would have up to 10 years to conduct operations.
They'd have to have another hearing to get an extension.
Yes.
Any other questions for Dave? Yes.
Not with Dave, but the, are we on rebuttal now? or-
But we are on rebuttal. I'm gonna,
Okay, so, well.
so if we could get agent or applicant to
Yes,
step forward
please.
to the podium and state your name and address, and we'll go ahead and do a rebuttal.
Guys, please come up, please.
Whichever, I'm not picky. If you wouldn't mind to first address the questions that the gentleman, Brad, had from, pardon me? Oh, yeah, you have to state your name and address.
Kurt Hershey, 202 East Rhonda. I'm the applicant's agent I'm ASM Engineering Consultants.
Okay, thank you.
What was the,
So you have 2 minutes rebuttal, so if you would address the question about the driveway and anything else that you want to say in your rebuttal. period.
okay.
That mouse, you can kind of show us.
Yeah, the intent is to have the operation come off of Hoover, and inbound and outbound truck traffic would all be routed off of Hoover. It's about the midpoint of the property to where trucks aren't going to be backing up onto Hoover Road. Shouldn't be. Was that the only question that was asked?
Yeah, unless there's anything else that you would just like to state during your remaining minute or so.
The applicant feels that the 10-year time frame is more than enough.
And are you in agreement with the conditions of the approval?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Okay, other questions from the commission? Mr. McKay,
The gentleman who spoke, he talked about traffic on 53rd Street.
okay?
The question was, Hoover Road the only exit in and out, but they gotta get to 53rd Street or to the streets to the south to go east and west. So I don't know.
You want to address that?
Yes, his question, or how I took the question, was the entrance into the property, and that will be off of Hoover. Trucks will probably be coming down 53rd east and west. They'll turn onto Hoover going south, and then go into the property on Hoover, off of Hoover.
Other questions from the commission? Mr. Foster?
When you get into developing the lots, will there be an entrance on the 53rd?
Yeah.
I want to confirm that. Okay, just want to
Yes,
confirm.
and that's more for traffic flow for the future subdivision that would be platted. No platting's been done at this point in time. This is a concept.
Any other questions from the commission? Okay, thank you very much. With that, I will bring it back to the commission for action.
Move for approval?
Second?
Okay, I have a motion to approve by Mr. Hartman, a second by Mr. Green. Discussion. Okay, if no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 9-0. Moving on to agenda item number 6. It looks like we have Kathy's going to present on this case.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is Zone 1909 and Con 1914 is located off, it's north of West Central In this, as you can see in the outlined area, to the east is an existing TF3 zoning with a conditional use that allows 4 duplex buildings, a maximum of 8 units. This is the same developer that is requesting this zone change and conditional use. Here's an aerial. You can see there is an existing house and garage on the property that will be torn down. The intent is to connect, have cross-access between the subject property and the duplexes on the east. And here's your growth area map for, basically for infill and new residential. This is the site plan. This is just a preliminary site plan. It may be changed. They are requesting 3 duplexes with a maximum of 6 units. And the parking will be on-site. There, as I said, you can see on the site plan where there's existing buildings that they're planning to remove. And the access, to cross-access to the units to the east is about in the middle of the property, which will come across right about here. So this is the house that's going to be removed. So we're looking southeast at the site. Directly south at the site, the 2-car garage will be removed. This is immediately northwest of the site, single-family residential. Looking north, this is looking east along Elm Street. The subject property is about right here. These are the new duplexes that are on the east side. This is looking southwest from the site at the single-family residences. And so the staff report indicates that staff recommends this be approved based on, wait a minute, the conditions that are listed in the staff report, that it be limited to 3 buildings, 6 units total, prior to a building permit being issued. They'll have to have us submit a new site plan to determine the location of landscaping, parking, and setbacks, and where actually the cross-lot access will occur. And other than that, that's, staff recommends approval with those conditions, and I'll stand for any questions.
Questions from the commission? Mr. Foster?
Kathy, if you look on page 2 of the staff report, the second paragraph down, it refers to property to the east is zoned TF3 and is currently undeveloped with 4 duplexes. And then you look in the findings, it refers to is currently developed with 4 duplexes.
Typo.
Okay. Then my second question is, on the rear setback, we're looking at a 75% reduction from the 20-foot?
Yeah, the rear setback to be, yes, 5 feet, yes.
Okay, so
Because
it's
that abuts limited commercial that fronts West Central.
And then the side setback on that west side, is that going to be 6 foot?
Yeah, that's what's required on TF3.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions from the commission? Mr. Warren?
Can you give me, put the picture back up, or if it's there, maybe I missed it, that would show that easement street, whatever that is, that's on the south end? That
That what
5
you
foot,
want?
what's on the other side of that 5 foot?
The other side of
There,
this 5 feet is limited commercial.
You have a picture of that?
Just on the zoning.
Show the aerial again. There you go.
Okay.
Okay.
So there's the aerial. This is, I think this is Barney's drugstore in this location, and then there's an event-type center at this location. And that's an alleyway that has not been vacated.
Mr. Foster?
Along that west side, where we're talking 6 foot, is that gonna have a landscape buffer required, given it's up against the SF5 over there on the west side?
No, it wouldn't, because it's residential. It's single-family abutting TF3, so it would not require landscape buffer.
There's no screening requirement or landscape requirement between TF3 and SF5. They're considered equivalence uses.
Other questions from the commission? Okay, thank you, Kathy. We can have agent or applicant step forward, state your name and address, and you'll have 10 minutes to present.
What would you like to have up? You can.
Kirk Miller, I'm the agent, 117 East Lewis, and we're fine with staff comments.
Questions from the commission? Mr. Foster?
Where the, those front 2 units, do those have garages that allow for off-street parking? It appears that the one to the south doesn't have that.
Right. The one to the south doesn't have that, but I believe the 2 on the north do. I don't know that we have a final building plan yet.
Okay.
Other questions from the commission? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody from the audience that would like to speak on this case? Okay, I will bring it back to the commission for action.
I move for approval, subject to staff comments.
Okay, I have a motion to approve by Mr. Hartman, a second by Mr. McKay. Discussion? Mr. Warren?
I guess I'm having a hard time. It looks like we're cramming an awful lot more into a lot less lot than we've ever done before. Is that a reasonable assessment of what's going on here?
Isn't it the same just to the east?
You know, I was thinking the same thing, but when we've got the property to the east, they've got 4 duplexes on that site compared to the 3 on this one.
That's 4 duplexes or 2 duplexes and 4 units?
I think that from what I saw on the aerial, it looked like it was 4 separate structures.
Yes, there are 4.
That's the same width?
On the east is 4, no, that lot is larger.
A bit wider.
There are 4 buildings, 8 units maximum on that lot. And this
how
subject
large that-
site is a half acre, so based on the square footage required by the zoning code, they could have 3 buildings, maximum 6 units.
Other questions or discussion? Mr. Foster?
I agree with Mr. Warren. That was my first take on this, is just trying to cram things in here. But yet, per the zoning, 6,000 square foot per duplex, so.
Okay, any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries 8-9-0. Sorry. All right, we're gonna move on to agenda item number 8. And it looks like Kathy's up again.
Oh. Okay, I'll let you do it, Scott. Thank you.
Looks like Scott's up.
I can't move my fingers fast enough. Okay, so this is an amendment to a protective overlay for this limited industrial PO 72, this limited industrial strip that was platted as, oh, where's the name of my plat? I'm sorry. Pardon?
Burleson?
Yes, Burleson. I'm sorry. And so this only applies to the subject lot outlined here. It does have SF5 to the north and to the west, and then general commercial to the east. And as you can see here from the aerial, it is the only undeveloped lot in that Burleson addition. These are storage units. There are some storage units down here, and then these are office buildings for utility warehouse, that type of thing. So this, according to the community investment plan, this is intended for limited industrial use. The site plan that the applicant provided, this area is already gravelled. He will have a secured access into the area where RVs can be parked, boats can be parked. It is uncovered. This north part is just a grass area, and he has a solid wood fence along the perimeter, along the property line of his property on all four sides, which is allowed in limited commercial, or I'm sorry, limited industrial. Looking west on the site toward the storage units, I'm sorry, east. Boy, I have my directions mixed up, pardon me. Looking east on the site, north toward the SF5, and as you can see, there are quite a few mature trees. This is the new wood fence that he has installed. And then this is looking north along Hoover. Again, this is his driveway into the site and wood fence. This is looking back to the southeast. This is the utility warehouse business. This is looking across the street and southwest, and there's a number of single-wide trailers, residents, chain link fencing. This site is on the north side of, if you could go to the back of this yard, you would see his fence on his north line, property line. So as you can see, the neighborhood has single-family housing with quite a bit of storage on it around the site. This is across the street from that picture I just showed you. And this is looking west toward Hoover Road is right over here, and this is along 23rd Street North. And so staff is recommending approval of the vehicle storage yard with the following conditions: to amend PO 72, and it says that vehicle storage will only be allowed on Lot 5 of the Burleson addition. It has to have approved all-weather surface, gravel in this case. It does limit, it goes back to and retains the limitations on other businesses or types of uses that were identified in PO 72. It maintains the front building setback of 35 feet. Standard construction of building materials and fences for this type of use, and a new site plan to indicate pedestrian traffic. And based on that, I will answer any questions.
Click.
Not to say it curb cut, because there's really no curb, but is that a new driveway, or did they use the existing driveway on Hoover Road? That right there, and do you know if they did the drainage control on that?
You know what, I'm going to let the applicant answer that, because I honestly don't know.
Sounds good.
Foster.
When the landscape requirement is met along Hoover there, how far back are they allowed to put the fencing?
Well, the landscape requirement is within the fence.
So they
It
can
has
put
to
the-
be a 10-foot buffer, and it's inside the fence.
So in the picture we're looking at, is that along the property line or?
Yes,
should
the
I
fence is on the property line.
Okay.
Landscaping will be behind the fence?
Yes. Which is standard in limited industrial, that's the standard case requirement.
We got a question. On this handout that we received,
Oh, yes, from Mr. Ray Winkle.
you know where he lives?
He's within the 200-foot notification area. I don't know, there may be somebody in the audience that can answer that. I don't have his address.
You know what the photographs here are of?
Yes, those are the buildings. Let me go back to the, sorry, wrong way. Okay, it's these two buildings
Okay.
at the front.
Mr. Bill Johnson.
I think the one picture I got is the building that's down. in
You
that
think it's
thing.
further down here?
Catty corner from where you're at. Down. On down, across the street, right there. And
Okay,
that one I think is just up north, not going up north,
okay.
west side of the street.
I think that's Black Hills Energy just to the south of the.
Yeah, this is that
Site.
utility.
Now, those are on the east side.
Right.
These are on the
Yeah,
west.
yeah.
Dale.
With respect to the landscaping or the location of the fence, the one thing I would bring up is from our experience at Central and Vassar, where the Hog Wild went in. That property, the property owner prior to the one that filed the case that you heard, 2 years ago or whatever it was, year and a half, they had installed a fence that was not on the property line. It was set back because they didn't want to go to the expense of actually surveying the site. They put the fence in. Then when the applicant came through, the property owner to the east claimed adverse possession because the fence was not on the property line, and they ended up paying 5 figures to get back land they already owned in order to avoid having to go to court and delay. So I would bring that up as a concern about if trying to move the fence off the property line, then to me, that kind of puts the property owner at a disadvantage because then they have to go outside the fence, do the maintenance to maintain some sort of appearance that they're taking care of it. But I'm just throwing that out as food for thought as with respect to where fences are and the property lines.
Kathy, can you tell me what the DAB vote was?
Yes, the DAB vote was to approve 6-2. They did have some conditions. They requested that the fences be moved along the north and the west back 10 feet and that the landscaping be 9 feet, the trees be 9 feet. We already have the landscaping at 1.5 times the landscape ordinance, which the applicant is agreeable to. But as you see on that one picture that I showed you, there are mature trees. This is the north property line. And this would be the location where I showed you that they had the campers outdoors, the three-car garage, and some other materials, storage containers. And so all we would require is what the landscape ordinance says. That's all we're recommending, but the DAB did recommend the fence being moved back 10 feet and 9-foot trees. And staff does not think that's, should be required, nor is it reasonable.
Any other questions from the commission?
Right
Mr.
now,
Hartman.
they can only park on the gravel spot.
That's correct.
They won't even be close to that fence.
That's correct. If they should want to expand that parking, they would have to submit a new site plan indicating that they have put the required 4-inch gravel and whatever, but they're only allowed to park on the gravel area.
And just for clarification, these are operational vehicles.
Yes, they're RVs and boats, that type of thing. They are operational. There is no salvage component allowed in this location. No inoperable vehicles.
All right. Kathy, thank you very much. And we will ask agent or applicant to step forward to present. You'll have 10 minutes, and if you'll state your name and address, that would be great.
There you go.
Thank you very much. My name is Don Mann, 306 North Kentucky Lane, Wichita, Kansas. My wife and I have been lifelong residents of Wichita, Kansas. Please bear with me. This is the first time I've spoken in front of more than 3 people in quite some time. Kathy spoke very well for us. The one thing that I would like to add, I do have some additional pictures, so I'll try to bring those up. This is the property between Mr. Bauer's property and Mr. Raywinkle's property. I'm not sure the name of this gentleman. From here, we're about half a mile away. So it's about a half a mile down the street. You can't see anything really from there. So this is the property directly, they didn't come in order, so I'll just go through them. This is property directly north. As you can see, there's RV storage here already, personal. This is the north fence line. This is the west fence line. As you can see the mature trees down through there. I believe at the DAB meeting, they didn't say anything about the west fence. It was just moving the north fence back 10 feet and putting my trees in between an existing chain link fence and the wood fence, which would, number one, be hard for me to maintain, and number two, I would have to invest to get my property back after I've already bought it. So that wouldn't really make me too happy. This is one outbuilding I have put on the property. It's a 14 by 16 outbuilding. It's only there to house a tractor so I can maintain the gravel, because as you know, through it will get pits and potholes, and I need to make sure that stays nice. So there's this north fence line along here. This is the one they want me to move back, which I probably will not do, but this is what they want me to move back. I'm more than willing to put the 11 trees in here. In fact, I'm going to open my business. I'm going to have to put the 11 trees in here, but it's going to be, there's not going to be anything parked on that side until we can gather up the money to do the next project. So that's the one that's really in concern for me, and the fact that I would like to get this. This whole project started because we wanted some place to store an RV that's affordable. In Wichita, Kansas, it's not very affordable to store an RV. It's just, price-wise, it's just phenomenal. It's $250 to put an RV in a covered. It's $190 or $150 to do an uncovered. It's not affordable. With new subdivisions going in, even the new one at 53rd and Hoover Road that we just talked about is going to probably have some kind of an HOA. And if there's an HOA, there's no storing your boat at your house. There's no storing your RV at your house. You're going to have to store it someplace. And personally, when I drive to work, I drive by a McDonald's, a Taco Bell, Arby's, Burger King. They're all close right there beside each other because that's where the competition is. There are several public storage places close to us. I'll show you here in a minute some of the pictures that are close to us, but you want to be close to your competition. I'm not trying to run anybody out of business. I'm just trying to make something that's affordable for myself, my family, and all those new neighborhoods that are going up that have HOAs in it. It's going to happen. So that's a little bit better look at this north fence line with the trees. Once again, nothing's going to be parked in this area at all for another year or so until we can gather up the funds to expand this project. This is the house that's right along Hoover Road that I showed you. This is where they have an RV stored right in here. I'm going to go back. This is that house that she pointed out that had several RVs out there, a lot of storage out there, lots of stuff. Once again, this is the house between Mr. Bauer's home and Mr. Raywinkle's home. This is Mr. Bauer's driveway right here. His house is probably another 150 feet north of this driveway. He's got a long driveway. It's a very, very beautiful home. But from this, you can't see my business. It's so far down there, you can't even see it. To be exact, he is 2,218 feet away, which is right at a half a mile away. I guess I didn't get the other two pictures in here. This is looking straight out the gate. Kathy had already pointed out there's some single wide trailers there. This is a vacant lot. There's nothing even going in there. I don't know of anything going in there. Mr. Bauer might have a better idea. This is the public storage that is max storage. It is right as you turn off of, I guess that would be 21st Street, just north of the zoo, kind of on your way out to the dump or up to that corner. This is their outdoor storage. So their outdoor storage is not covered at all. It's not, I mean, I don't know if there's enough trees there or not. I'm not here to talk about that, but they're not covering anything. You can see everything in their outdoor storage. This is a side view of that same outdoor storage right through here. So the storage that I'm talking about is right here. This is the outdoor storage. Going any further north, I can't show you Mr. Bauer's home or Mr. Raywinkle's home. They're quite a ways away. You can't see the lot from some of the people that are arguing against this. We do have a brand new fence, a brand new gate. It's not trashy. We're not making this into a salvage. I'm going to take very good care of it. I want it to be something that I can put my RV in and my boat and feel very comfortable with it. I'm going to put in lighting. I'm going to put in security cameras. There's not going to be vermin running around there. I'm going to take care of this property. I'm not doing anything that is not part of the limited industrial guidelines. We would just like to have your approval. Thank you. Questions?
Mr. Blick.
The question I asked earlier was a driveway on Hoover. Is that a new driveway or did you use an existing driveway?
It was an existing driveway that was there. When I had the guy come in to do the land work and bring in it's actually 1.5 inch rock. It's not gravel because 1.5 inch rock sets up better, more like concrete than gravel. Gravel is not as good of a product. So it's 1.5 inch rock, so it's very firm. I asked him about that. I said, there's no culvert in here. He goes, this is the high part of this street, so there's no culvert required. So I just went by that. Right now, I need to go back to that picture. I put rock on it, but I do want to explain that that rock is going to have to come out, but go back in. So when I'm trying to get to the driveway picture. Okay, so I put this rock in just because I thought, well, I don't want the ground to fade away there. I don't want it to drop off. So I put this in, and what I found is, of course, I have to have blacktop driveway or concrete driveway, and then 7 stalls. So as you can see on what Kathy provided, I have put together the 7 stalls where I'm going to put them along that fence and the blacktop. But I've got to take this rock out. I'm just going to back the rock out, take out about 3 inches of ground, put the rock back in to be a good aggregate, and then the blacktop on top of it. So it will be blacktop, but as far as a culvert in there, no one has said that it needs one to me.
Last photo you were just at, and it looked like there was a ditch, and I just didn't know if the drainage.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they've been talking about a sidewalk that's going all the way down through there, a 10-foot sidewalk. Well, that 10-foot sidewalk, they're going to have to change out a lot of things. That 10-foot sidewalk's going to be right down through here. So I'm not opposed to putting trees on the outside. I'm still going to have to mow this. This is just like any other thing that you own. Just because it's on the other side of the sidewalk doesn't mean you don't mow it. I have to mow it. I just don't want to, I'm going to close my mouth. Next.
Other questions from the commission? Mr. Foster?
Got several questions. One is a point of clarification on condition number 3. It's referring to vehicle storage shall only be allowed on rock surfaces. The vehicle storage may be expanded by increasing the rock surface area. Does that indicate that whenever you so decide, you can go ahead and expand the rock without any further?
No, I have to have it approved.
This condition need updated then to state that?
The PO, I don't know.
Yeah, it's set up so that he could submit a revised site plan, but it wouldn't require any additional hearings. It wouldn't be a zoning adjustment. It's just that way he doesn't have to keep coming back and having additional hearings over and over if this is approved the way it's written.
I think that's the best way to do it, so that's good. I think you touched upon this, and that's the idea of you'd be willing to put the trees on the outside along the street frontage?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I tell you, the other businesses have really done a nice job along the east there. That's a nice stretch of development through there. So that would be what I would encourage to happen here, is get those trees on the outside. I think it's better for you by not having them on the inside.
I agree 100%. Those trees will take up storage area for me. So I'm more than willing to put up, but on the west side, you're talking about the west side where the gate's at, where they come in and enter the property. More than happy to put the trees out here on this side. I don't have a problem with that at all. But on the north side, I would prefer to put the trees on the inside of the gate.
I think
The fence.
I think that's kind of given, and I think it makes every bit of good sense where you've got the fence right now.
It's my understanding that to put the trees on the outside would require Public Works approval, which
Just get a minor street privilege. It's not that big of a.
Public Works has taken a pretty strong stance the last few years about not allowing required landscaping in the right-of-way because they've run into issues where when they've done work, then they were asked to pay to replace the landscaping that was there. And so it may be problematic for him to be able to plant any required landscaping in the right-of-way along Hoover.
Mr. Green?
But we wouldn't be able to require that anyways, would we?
I don't, to me, it's not advisable. I just was, yeah. You know, and you can't require him to plant trees on somebody else's property, so, yeah.
Mr. Richardson, it's your turn for a question.
A question of Dale or maybe Scott. In terms of that driveway, would he not need a building permit to install that and pave that? I'm worried about the.
It's not a building permit, it's a driveway permit.
Okay, I'm worried about not putting the culvert in and then somebody comes back and says you got to put it in. I would really suggest you get with Public Works and make sure they're okay with that, because I don't want to see you do this 3 times instead of 2. Even though it may not look like you need it, they may have a different opinion about that. And so I think it'd be well advised to check with them, engineering department or somebody there, to make sure before you do that.
Green, you have another question?
Yes, I do. Do we have any say over if there's going to be on-site management and/or on-site security for this? I mean, I don't want to open up a can of worms that
Well, I
isn't our
mean,
business.
there is a requirement for typical self-storage, whereas this is vehicle storage yard. To me, it's a different critter. And, but I mean, I think legally you can require any conditions that you think are reasonable to make the site work.
For comparison purposes, were this to be a self-storage warehouse, it would not be required in this zone district. It's only required in general office or limited commercial.
That was my
Have you given
understanding.
that
Limited commercial required to have it, limited industrial, you're not required to have it. So I was actually even going to put standalone kiosk right there where they could do all their renting of their space and all of it. I'm hands-free. I'm ready to retire.
Mr. Foster?
Did you mention up on the north side with the 1.5 time requirement, you'd be planting 11 trees just along the north side itself?
Yes. And that north side's already pretty well covered with trees.
My suggestion when we get to making a motion out of this, I think those trees should be evergreens, or at least a mix of oak and evergreen, because what we're looking at there is all deciduous. And so, that'd be my suggestion.
Hey, any other questions from the commission? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Is there anybody from the audience that would like to speak on this case? If you'll step forward, state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Mark Bauer, and I live, as Mr. Mann, as Mr. Mann said, right up the street, just north of 25th Street, just past your view on the map. And you probably saw the front of my house, which Mr. Mann also said you can't see his property from there. I agree, I can't. But I drive by there twice a day, and sometimes even more. But, however, I do own the lot directly across the street from his driveway, right here. That's my lot.
Mr. Bauer, could you state your address, please?
2615 North Hoover.
Thank you.
I wrote up a speech, but I think I'm going to revise a few things. 'Cause I'd like everybody in the committee to know the true looks of this neighborhood. The pictures don't depict what it looks like. If anybody had a chance to drive north on Hoover, they understand what this fence looks like. It doesn't fit in line with any of the architecture going up the street. I realize the pictures of a somewhat blight neighborhood, but go 2 blocks north and further north. There is major home developments happening all the way up Hoover. Considerable traffic moving up and down Hoover, probably quadrupled the amount of traffic in less than a year. All those areas have homeowners associations which try to control, or they do control, the type of architecture and the type of grass and whatnot, and you all know what HOAs do, and trying to keep in line with the way the community is developing. We need to also keep in mind the way things are developing in industrial areas. There's overlays put on this area for a reason. And now more than ever, that reason has become apparent. We don't like driving down and seeing a stockade fence going on the way to our beautiful house down the street. And it's going to continue to develop. A lot of the areas of blight are being cleaned up, bulldozed over, and made, they're beautified. This area just kind of goes backwards. Recently, I'm sure it went through this committee, the storage lot up on 29th, just off of Hoover. There's a lot less housing around that. There are real nice houses, all part of Barefoot Bay. It backs up to a salvage yard. It's next to a house that's vacant, and it's next to a lake that has no structures on it. That was approved. It's gorgeous. It sits off the road. It's bermed. It's landscaped. It's got stone and rock and brick, and it looks the part. It looks like it should be in that neighborhood. I think if Mr. Mann was to get this approved, it should look similar to that, which is set back off the road like all the rest of the structures, houses, and commercial are.
Your time is up. Do you want an additional 1 or 2 minutes?
No, if there's anybody got any questions for me.
Mr. Blick?
Based off of what you said, you're more concerned about the fence and what it looks like. If it was like a plastic fence or something else, would you approve it? Or would you be in favor of it?
The north side of that fence, the east side of that fence, and the majority of the south side of the fence, I don't have a problem with. If the front of that was moved back, say even with Black Hills Energy, turned to a nice architectural stone and brick with a nice entryway, just like everything else around that area is being developed as, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I own several industrial businesses or buildings in different areas of Wichita. I own an industrial building, my business, for 22 years, and it's in an industrial area. Most industrial areas are off secondary roads. Generally, if you're in that industrial area, you go down there for a reason. Just because you got business there, or you own it, or you work at the business. This is not a typical industrial area. Most of them are on roads that are off the beaten path. With all the development going to the north, this isn't off the beaten path. This is the path. And I don't know, you probably got the new formula on exactly how many cars go down Hoover every day, and the fact that the city is planning a light at the corner of Zoo Boulevard and Hoover now. I'm hoping it's done sooner than later, but also there was a lot of discussion on that sidewalk. And I don't know what the end result of the sidewalk was, but I do realize it was off the road quite a bit, and then after it got past, I believe, Mr. Mann's property, it cut back in closer to Hoover. I don't know what the end result of that was, but I think that needs to be some close consideration on that too. So,
Other questions from the commission? Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else from the audience that would like to speak on this case? No? Okay. You have 2 minutes rebuttal.
Thank you very much. Mr. Barrett mentioned that there are a lot of new subdivisions going up in there, and there are a tremendous amount of subdivisions going up in there. I'm not the one that made it industrial, limited industrial. I'm taking advantage of what I have. There are houses that are a mile away that are very nice. There are houses that are right across the street that are not very nice. There are houses around the corner that are not very nice. There are houses going, new homes, brand new subdivisions we talked about today, brand new subdivisions going up all over there. All those people will need some place to park their toys because people like their toys. And that's all I'm trying to do is provide a economical solution for that. Thank you.
Other questions from the commission? Nope. Okay, thank you very much. With that, we will bring it back to the commission for action. Mr. Bill Johnson.
I got a question of staff. North of here, there is some beautiful homes that are built on the west side of Hoover. The property on the east side for a long time was industrial zone, wasn't it?
There's most of it's been SF5 or residential.
But I think that was changed, wasn't it?
No, this is what the current zoning is. There's limited limited commercial up at the intersection of, at the section lines, where they changed the zoning in, 59? That like 600 feet from the intersections, those major intersections, is limited commercial. But, and I don't know what this, PO 206 is.
It looked like a wholesale nursery to me.
Yes, that's what it was, yeah.
But yeah, I don't remember, unless Scott I don't remember any major zone changes up there other than.
All the zoning changes that have occurred in this area are reflected on that map.
It seemed like there was an old concrete T hangers or something one time.
There are some non-conforming uses in the area.
Riverside Airport.
Okay. And I know it's being redeveloped now into some nice housing area, but it wasn't always that nice on the east side of Hoover.
Other questions from the commission? Other action from the commission?
I'd like to make a motion, we approve subject to staff comments as far as taking into consideration, putting the landscaping on the outside of the fence, if it's in the right of way, I would not suggest it, but I don't want to make that part of my motion.
You're not going to make that a part of your motion? Okay, good.
The right of way.
Right, right. No, and before I seconded the motion, I wanted to make sure I understood it. You're approving per staff comment. Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. McKay, a second by Mr. Green. Discussion, Mr. Foster.
I guess if we're not planting things in the right of way, why are we planting street trees? So,
Well, that's Public Works that's taken, that's their deal.
well,
it's
why
not-
not, why not have the applicant pick up the slack and the city doesn't have to pay for street trees when this perhaps turns into a project up and down that way?
I think that we can work with the applicant to see if the Public Works will allow that. I don't think the commission can require it.
Well,
Go ahead.
if he were successful, then he would not have to put those inside the fence. Is that, I mean, could the motion be that he doesn't need it inside the fence as long as Public Works is okay with it? I
The
don't,
motion was staff requirements. And the staff requirements is just a landscape buffer. It didn't say inside the fence, outside the fence, anywhere, it's just landscape. And if they can work it out with Public Works.
Okay.
I think that should take care of it.
that makes sense? Okay, good.
Foster?
So there's still the potential, working with Public Works, they could go on the outside. Okay, great.
Not making that as a requirement.
It sounds like that's the applicant's preference too, so.
Okay, great.
He's already admitted he'd do it if it's okay to do it. He's not unwilling to do it. But that's something we can't tell him to do. It's something that he's got to work out with Public Works.
In checking on that pathway development, they're at least 2 years out. They haven't even started the design for that pathway. So at least 2 years out on that.
Mr. McKay?
I'd like to make a comment. They keep talking about all the nice development. With what's south of the nice development, and they're still developing those properties with the beautiful homes and beautiful subdivisions. To me, that's, in itself says, that's what's going to happen to this area. So I don't think that a wood fence that nobody likes or whatever, it's going to make a bit of difference, because it's the lakes and the stuff that's all around it that's going to make it a good project.
Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries 9-0.
We gotta defer this because we don't have enough people.
Oh,
We have to have 2/3 vote on the next matter.
Does
there
that
you
mean-
go.
Does that mean it's defeated?
I don't know, just on the table here. No one said.
Can we,
Oh, it's not
can we
defeated.
go off the record?
Yeah.
Can we turn off the?
Do you want to adjourn?
Okay.
I've got a question before we do that, though.
Yes.
What is this that was at our place?
Park.
That's the
Yeah,
plat park.
clap base map?
Yes.
Yes.
These are concepts for the design of CLAP.
One of the commissioners asked for a copy, and so our rule is if we give it to one, we try and give it to everybody, so it's just FYI.
Oh, okay.
I think it's part of a city council workshop coming up as well, is it not?
Well, there was a meeting this morning.
Yes.
And Murray was there, and Scott Rigby was there, and they talked about this. And so at that time, yes. And so they talked about it, and because we're gonna be looking at it,